We are too loud, too hot, too high. Is that too hot? We are here. All right. Sorry, I was messing with my knobs. Don't mess with your knobs. You'll go blind. See, that's my co-host. That's schizophrenic me. He's quick with a one-liner. See, that's too loud too. I don't like that. Is this better? Nah, that's still too loud. There it is, a little bit less. Okay. Hey, everybody, welcome in. This is the High Noon Stream. I'm Pugs Moran. I do this every Monday through Friday, noon till, well, whenever. And what we do here on the High Noon Stream is we talk about the day. We get you all prepped up. Everything that you need to know about this day, I'm going to give it to you. And now, what does that include? Well, we're going to run through some of the things that happened on this day. We're going to go through the history of this day. Big events. We'll talk about them, why they're important. Then we'll celebrate some births, some people who were born on this day. We'll talk about their careers, their contributions, whatever it is. And then we'll mourn some of the passings. And there are some big ones that mourn on this day. I'll tell you, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the people who died on this day. Then and only then do we get into what is currently happening in this world. Now, what does that entail? Well, I'll tell you. It's anything that's trending. If it's trending on the social media networks, boom, we'll hit on it. We'll figure out why it's trending. We'll tell you whether or not it's important to you. The stupid. We skip over the dumb stuff. We skip over the divisive politics. We skip over the South Korean boy bands. We skip over wrestling. We skip over most sports unless it's, something that is, jumped over into the mainstream, that kind of thing. But if it's other than that, if it's in our hot topics, if it's in our modern zeitgeist, if it's happening today, if it's pop culture, if it's current events, that kind of thing, we'll get it all for you. We do it every day, Monday through Friday. This is the first of two streams, however, that we do. We give you another one every night, Monday through Thursday, unless my kid has got a football game or unless, something goes on. Other than that, you can count on Pillow Talk with myself and James Parker. Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk every night at 9 p.m. right here on the Radio Misfits podcast and streaming. They don't do streaming except for us, so I appreciate that. All right, let's get started with what today is all about. I see the chat room is filling up a little bit. Where's everybody? Where's my chatters? This is like a really small chat room for this part of the show. Hi, Jen. Jen's here. Leslie's here. Hiya. April's here. The Goat is here. Jeff Ballard is here. Melissa is here. All right, there you go. You know what? I got you guys. That's all I need. I'm not seeing Byron. Where is Byron? Where's Byron and Jeff Glenn? I worry about Byron and Jeff Glenn. Jeff Ballard's here. I don't worry about him. He shows up. Byron, you know what? Let's add Adam Reyna in there too, because Adam's getting a little bit older. Adam's not the spry young Adam Reyna that I knew. There's Byron. All right. What I was getting to was, whenever Byron or Jeff Glenn don't show up for a day, I immediately go to, oh, they died. They dropped dead. Just because, it's what happens with guys of our age. We just suddenly stop showing up. And a dude down at the bar goes, hey, where's Byron been? And then the bartender, while she's washing glasses, go, I heard he died. And, that's just kind of how, that's life. That's how life goes. But it's good to see that fate did not befall Byron. Jeff Glenn, let's get our antennas up. Let's start listening for any chatter about Jeff Glenn's fate, because I don't see him, and that's weird. Okay, let's get started. Today is High Noon. It is the 6th day of October, year of our Lord, 2022. Leslie, that's dark. It is dark, but mortality and the consideration of one's own mortality is certainly a dark sort of place to go. But I got to tell you, and I bet you guys like Byron will back me up on this, you get to a certain age as a guy and you start going, all right, I'm prepared for any minute for something to go haywire and just completely upend what I got going. It's how we live. Look at Byron. Byron says he woke up, shockingly. Look at him. Every morning I wake up, I'm like, look at me. One more day, one more plate appearance for the kid. And then I go to bed, and who knows what can happen. All bets are off. High Noon, the 6th day of October, year of our Lord 2022. It's the 279th day of the year. There are 86 days remaining until the end of the year. I agree, Byron. Byron says, absolutely, bring that shit on. I am not afraid to die. Here's the thing about my own mortality and my consideration of it, okay? I'm not afraid to die. And I think that I'm not afraid to die because of the path that I've led to this point in my life. You know, my faith or my religious indoctrination and all that stuff, it didn't really take. So I'm just sort of a surfer. I'm just kind of surfing through this life. I'm going about it as this is the only one we got, and let's just have as much fun and be as good and create as much decency and positive vibes as we can. And then should the lights go out unexpectedly, bring it on. Whatever comes next. If it's just nothing, then what do I care? It's nothing. I don't know what nothing is. Nothing is nothing. Nothing, you can't. And if it's something, I like to think that, if we get to that point where there's two doors, I like to think that the way that I've carried myself in my interpersonal relationships with the people in my, immediate vicinity will get me in the good door. I think, never hurt anyone. I'm not a spiteful person. I don't hold grudges anymore. I used to be. Oh God, I was in my 30s. I had a chip on my shoulder in my 30s, and I did not know how to carry it. And over time, you get into your 40s, people start chipping away at that, and you're fine. And now look at me. I'm like the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. What? Schizophrenic me. See, sometimes schizophrenic me, he keeps me in check. He governs me, and he also destroys every good idea I've ever had. Like I come up with an idea, and schizophrenic me goes, that'll never work, and here's why. And he totally talks it down, and then I move away from it, and I get depressed. But in addition to that, he also keeps my ego in check. He tells me, it's surprising that I would have an ego with a co-pilot like schizophrenic me, but I do. All right, let's talk about some of the things that happened on this day in history. In 1927, the opening of The Jazz Singer, the first prominent talkie movie. I don't know from this version of The Jazz Singer, but I do know the Neil Diamond version. Remember the Neil Diamond version of The Jazz Singer in the 70s? He was like a big Neil. He was Neil Diamond. He was what was he? What was Neil Diamond around before The Jazz Singer? Because he was like crackling rose, like all that stuff. He was like sweet care. So he was a big star. And then he decided they're like, we're gonna make this guy a movie star. And I don't know. I wasn't a woman in the 1970s, so I don't know if Neil Diamond was like the guy in pop music who you'd go, let's make him a movie star. Like I can see how you might try and do that with Jared Leto, right? You look at him, okay, he could be a movie star, and he is. It's even someone like Adam Levine from like Maroon 5. You look at him and go, all right, next step, let's make him a movie star. Neil Diamond? I didn't really think that Neil Diamond was cut from that cloth, but he made the movie, and I enjoyed the movie. Neil Diamond played a Jewish son of a cantor. A cantor is the person who sings in the temple, that guy. And he was on a path in life to be a cantor, right? But he's like, Daddy, I want to do rock music. That was the whole point of the movie. It was like that whole thing. That was the main. Can't speak to the 1927 version, which is credited as being the first hit talkie film. Who was in that? Eddie Cantor? Was it like, Dad, I don't want to be a cantor. I want to sing, hello, my baby, hello, my darling. Like, what was, I don't know what that version was. Who was it? I said Eddie Cantor, but I was just kidding. Was it really Eddie Cantor? It might have been. Hold on, let's check on The Jazz Singer. Let's see who starred in that. Because we know Neil Diamond reprised the role? I don't know. Whatever. Okay, let's see here. Starring, oh no, not Eddie Cantor. It's the other one. Al Jolson. Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. I don't how are those guys famous? Look, how is that? All right, here's how. Because I am projecting what I know today about what music is capable of, and I'm putting it back in that time and saying, why didn't they do that? Why did they have auto-tune when So it's kind of unfair. For the time, it was probably awesome. There you go. That happened on this day. Also on this day in 1973, Egypt and Syria launched coordinated attacks against Israel, beginning the Yom Kippur War. And everything was beautiful in that part of the world until this day in 1973. That's not true. It's never been beautiful in that part of the world. In 1977, the first prototype of the MiG-29 makes its maiden flight. The MiG, so I have some friends who are, pilot guys. And I once overheard a conversation where they were talking about the MiG and how the MiG was so completely overblown because in 1977, it was the height of technology. But for some reason, they were upset. These guys were angry that Hollywood movies in the 1980s were still portraying the MiG as the most dangerous flying weapon out there. When apparently we ourselves here in America, we had better planes. We had better planes than the MiG by the early 1980s, but yet still everyone thought the MiG was the scariest plane in the world. But anyway, it did. It debuted on this day in 1977. On this day in 1979, Pope John Paul II becomes the first pontiff to visit the White House. Yeah, that was on his U.S. tour. I remember that. He came to Chicago and they had a bigger crowd than the Rolling Stones and Grant Park. It was huge. It was 2 million people or something. The only crowd larger than I think the crowd that came to see the Pope in 1979 in Chicago, it might be the biggest crowd ever, although I want to say that there was a Bulls championship celebration that was bigger. So there you have it. The Catholics in Chicago care more about the Bulls than they do the Pope. On this day in 1981, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat is murdered by Islamic extremists. Sadat. On this day in 2010, happy birthday, Instagram. A mainstream photo sharing application is founded. 12 years, Instagram in 12 years. They're now okay, so I prefer, here's how you break them down. Okay. So I prefer Twitter. Twitter seems to be the place where someone like me can feel the most comfortable. Then you have Facebook. Facebook is what you go to when you want to see what your aunt is up to. Facebook is what you go to when you want to see, it's a little bit of a different vibe over on Facebook than it is on Facebook or on Twitter. But Instagram's the one that all the kids have, which tells me that, that's going to be their platform of choice for the next 20, 30 years. Facebook is considered for old people. Twitter, I don't even know what Twitter is considered, but Instagram seems to be where the hipsters are, where all the cool kids. I have an Instagram account. I don't promote it. I need to start using my Instagram account. God. Anyway. What is Instagram? Pictures, right? I thought it was just pictures. I don't like pictures. I mean, I do like pictures. I just don't like pictures of me. And it seems like that's what, you get pictures of you. You have to be attractive on Instagram. I don't know. Whatever. We'll get through it. On this day in 2018, the United States Senate confirms Brett Kavanaugh as the Supreme Court Associate Justice, ending a contentious confirmation process. He likes beer, and he likes to cry about how much he likes beer. That's all I remember. That was just a big political show. Although nah, never mind. No, you don't need my hot takes on that. Have a beer with me. Have a beer with me and bring it up, and I'll give you my whole hot take on it, and then we can discuss it over drinks and be civil with one another. But not here. Not here, not never. How about some birthdays? Some people born on this day. We got George Westinghouse. George Westinghouse, American engineer and businessman, founded the Westinghouse Air and Brake Company. He was born on this day in 1846. Westinghouse would go on to be one of the George Westinghouse was one of the men who built America. When you see those specials, they always focus on George Westinghouse. He was a big deal. Kind of got in cahoots with, was it Edison? Who? Yeah. You didn't know who invented the light bulb and stuff, did you? No, there's so much. Okay, I know Edison. I know it was Edison. Theoretically, right? I know it was Edison. But yeah, I think Edison and Westinghouse hooked up. Or maybe it was Tesla. I don't know. Hey, look it up, man. There are Wikipedia pages for this. I'm just giving you the broad strokes here. On this day in 1949, Leslie Moonves was born. American businessman. He ran CBS. He brought CBS back from the grave. CBS was in the toilet, and Les Moonves took over, and he did a whole bunch of things. What did he do? Football. He got football back. He had Letterman. Whatever. It's just he left CBS in a better place and he died. Les Moonves died. Born on this day in 1951. I believe this man is the first official guest in the history of the old Pugs and Kelly show. The first guest who debuted, not the first guest we ever had, but the first guest who was on the show when we were doing our very first show from Dallas in middays. And that guy, Kevin Cronin. That's right. REO Speedwagon. All coiled up in his sand. Don't sing. People hate when you sing. I know. And I'm gonna keep on loving you. REO Speedwagon. Born on this day in 1955, Tony Dungy, American football player, football coach, Colts, Dungy, Tampa, you've been everywhere. Born on this day in 1963. Whoa. Big crush on this person. When I don't know if I've told you about this, but I had a bit of an extra career. You were an extra. You were background in a couple of movies in the late 80s and early 90s. You were not an actor. See, that's what narcissistic me or schizophrenic me does. Narcissistic me pretty much does this show from 12 to 2, but that guy, he shouts me down, and that's what he does. So I was an extra. I did extra work in a whole bunch of movies in Chicago back in the late 80s, early 90s. And one of the movies that I did was Adventures in Babysitting. And there was a very small moment where I was in close proximity to and had a nice little short conversation with someone that paralyzed me because I was so crazy in awe of her. And it's her birthday. Happy birthday, Elizabeth Shue. I used to love Elizabeth Shue. Oh my God. And when I was... By the way, I've tried it. You can't even see me. There's a scene, the scene at the cocktail party where they're sliding on the outside of the building. I don't know if you ever saw Adventures, but the parents are at a cocktail party. I'm in a suit. I'm in the background. You can't. I claim you can see me, but nobody else that I've ever pointed it out to will confirm. So anyway, Elizabeth Shue, she's so great, man. She's so great. Cocktail. She was so cute, man. She was, did she win an Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas, or was that Nicolas Cage? I mean, I know Nicolas Cage also won it, but was she nominated? She's great. She's now on The Boys. She's on the Amazon series. Oh, actually, I think she's dead now. Yeah. Sorry, spoiler alert, if you're just getting into The Boys. Yeah. Anyway, Elizabeth Shue celebrating her birthday today, born on this day in 1963. I just always liked her. She was cool. Born on this day, and here's someone we need to celebrate just a little bit. Born on this day in 1964. You guys remember Matthew Sweet? Matthew Sweet was a studio guy. He was a studio player, and he was really good, and he wrote songs, and somehow around the early 90s, the guys in REM and the guys down there in that Athens scene said, we should record some of your stuff. So Matthew Sweet came out with this album. Was this album called Girlfriend, I think? Had a bunch of hits. I swear, I thought Matthew Sweet was going to have a career. Didn't have a career. He just, the Golden Palominos, right? So that was like a super group that he formed with Peter Buck. But that super group's never had lasting power. But he never, Matthew Sweet. I loved this album. This album was cool. Sick of Myself. This was another hit off this album. I don't know. I like that Athens jingle jangly Peter Buck inspired guitar style music. And Matthew Sweet was great. He was great. All right, that's enough. We don't need to play any more Matthew Sweet. Happy birthday, Matthew Sweet. Born on this day in 1964. Don't know where you've been for the last 30 years, but you made one album that I still listen to occasionally. Great album. Let's see here. What else do we have? Born on this day, another guy that I... Well, why not? Okay, let's see. We got another birthday, another musical birthday. This guy. What would be the best one? What would be like? I'm trying to find. All right. Well, there you go. Okay. Happy birthday to the one, the only Tommy Stinson. Tommy Stinson, bass player of The Replacements. We just talked about Matthew Sweet. I love The Replacements too. Oh man, you kidding me? Two guys celebrating birthdays here. Replacements, Minneapolis. I was at the final Replacement show. Well, they broke up on stage like midway through, and then they never played again. Or maybe they did. Maybe they played again like 10 years later. But the official like blow up breakup of the Replacements, I watched it go down. I was in the audience, just standing there, and I saw that there were problems. Paul Westerberg was difficult, and happy birthday to you, Tommy Stinson of The Replacements. Also celebrating a birthday today, born in 2004, Bronny James. That's right, LeBron James's anointed heir apparent. Bronny James is LeBron James's kid. And, you know, so he's 18 today. And, you know, he's going to be going, actually, I don't even know if he's going to college. Here's the deal with Bronny James. As I understand it, he's a good high school basketball player, but he is by no means, in anyone's estimation, other than people who are on LeBron James's payroll, a sure thing, can't miss direct from high school to the NBA type player. But he's probably going to be that. He is probably going to be a guy who is taken, I don't even think in the second round of the NBA draft. He might go in the first round of the NBA draft to a team that can't use him at all, but LeBron James wants to play with his son. So a team that will take a flyer on Bronny James is hoping that when the contract is up with the Lakers for LeBron, that he will then sign a free agent contract with whatever team has his son. Meanwhile, I don't know. Whatever. I get it, but I need to see a little bit more of Bronny James. Let him go to college. I hope he's going to college. Is he going to college? I don't know. He might be. They might have changed that. But whatever. The whole idea is he's good, but he's not like the best in the nation, even among his own grade. Some people say he is, but those people always end up having ties to LeBron's camp, or LeBron's publicist or whatever it is. Good basketball player, but the fact that his dad is LeBron James is going to get him in the NBA. It's going to get him drafted, even though he may not have we'll see. He's too young. He's a high school. We'll see. We shall see. Actually, he does have to. Has he declared for a college? Because you have to go to college, right? You can't just jump straight from high school anymore. I don't think I think they stopped that a couple of years ago. Anyway, I think you got to do 1 year, right? So he'll do 1 year somewhere and whatever. Let's talk about some deaths. We had some big deaths here that were, and we'll run through a couple real quick here. On this day in 1989, Betty Davis died. Betty Davis, American actress, born in 1908. Betty Davis, one of the greats of that era. All about Eve, right? I saw that. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? I know that one. That's a good movie. That's a good movie. It's even better. It's even better than the Whatever Happened to Baby Jane actual movie. There was a FX movie a couple of years ago called Feud, which was about the making of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Feud's better. Feud is better than the actual. And the actual movie's really good. But if you ever get a chance to see Feud, about how Betty Davis and Jane, not Jane. What was her name? No Wire Hangers. Joan Crawford, that's it. How Betty Davis and Joan Crawford just hated each other during the filming of that movie. It's a good movie. Feud. Betty Davis died today. That's why we're talking about it. On this day in 2001, and I only mention this for the handful of people who may be listening from Chicago who are Cub fans, Arnie Harris. Arnie Harris died today. American director and producer. If you watched Cubs baseball on the Superstation back in the 1980s and 90s and all of that stuff, and certainly in Chicago, you knew that Harry's drinking buddy, his pal, his good bud was Arnie Harris. Harry Carey was always like, hey, Arnie. He's Arnie Harris died on this day in 2001. Chicago media, sports icon, to be sure. Dead on this day in 2017. This was a rough one, man. This was not cool. I just get so tired of this stuff, man. Ralphie May died on this day. American stand-up comedian and actor. Ralphie, of course, if you Pugs and Kelly show, Ralphie was a good friend of the Pugs and Kelly show. He was a good friend of mine. He was years after I left radio. Every time Ralphie would come through town, he would send me a text message. Hey man, I'm going to be in Chicago. Let's hang out. And we did a couple of times. And he was just, Ralphie May was a wonderful, wonderful person. And, obviously Ralphie had serious obesity issues. Ralphie was a big, giant, fat guy, but also a very talented guy. And because of his physical appearance, Ralphie, throughout his life, had created this sort of defense mechanism where he had to be at all times the most lovable and nicest person in the room. And, I've talked to him about that. And he used to tell me, it's exhausting, but underneath it all, he really was a kind, decent person. And I think that a lot of his kindness and a lot of his decency came from the fact that he did not have a really great life growing up. People were really mean to him. And so I think that he kind of, as a grown-up, went through life with this attitude of, I know how mean people can be, so I'm just going to counter that by being super sweet and super kind and super caring. He was just a decent guy. And he died really unexpectedly. Well, not unexpectedly. I mean, he was obese. He battled with weight. He was unhealthy. It was it was a rough thing for him. He had a whole bunch of things. He had a bunch of obvious mitigating circumstances, but yeah, the heart attack, he died. He had been, a funny story about this. So Lana, who was Ralphie's wife, she sent me a text, probably, I don't know, maybe it was before the story like really broke nationally, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like I don't want to give that impression. She just sent a text out, and it was a group text. I should, to a number of people who, were in Ralphie's phone. She said that, she just wanted everyone to know in case they hadn't heard. And man, that's not a text you want to get sitting at a stoplight at Route 30 in Harlem while you're on your way to your pizza delivery job. I mean, it was just a real bummer. Oh, he was so great, Ralphie. But then, so at this point, I was like delivering pizzas for a local pizza place just a couple of years ago. This is 2017. And doing other things at the restaurant. But this was my entry, just picking up a little tip money. I used to deliver pizzas in the summer when I had my kid, because I needed something. I couldn't work. I was doing branding work, and a lot of that was freelance and all that. So on the month in the summer when I had my kid, I would not take any jobs and I wouldn't do any of that. So I'd want to have the full month off. So I figured we need something. I need to make a little money. We need to do something. So I came up with the idea that, we could deliver pizzas together. Like he would ride in the car with me and we just deliver food. And honestly, even he says, some of the best times that we had were just like because you're in the car and you're bonding. Anyway, it was a great experience. I remember being at the pizza place like a couple of days after Ralphie had died, and some of the dudes who work at the pizza restaurant, they were bummed out. One guy in particular, George. George was like, "Man, did you hear Ralphie May died? Blah blah blah." And he's going into all this stuff, and I'm just standing there. Right, we're waiting for pizza orders to come in, and I'm just standing there, and I want to go. Yeah, Ralphie was a friend of mine, but in that context, me saying that. Every single one of those guys, they don't know who I was. They don't know where I came from. Just some guy that suddenly showed up. So like if I had said, well, Ralphie was sick and he had a whole bunch of problems, they'd have been like, this dude's a liar. This new guy just makes shit up. He's talking about. So I had to sit there and I'm like, I guess I can't talk about how I know Ralphie May, but I can now because you guys all know. You guys have all been around for the history of it. Dead on this day in 2019, Ginger Baker. Ginger Baker, don't mess with Mr. Baker. Don't screw with Mr. Baker. Documentary about the drummer, Ginger Baker. Clapton's drummer. Wait, was he Clapton or was he Hendrix's drummer? I don't know. I just know that he was a jerk. He was a really great drummer, but he was a jerk. And that's the whole point of the documentary. He was crazy. He died on this day in 2019. Dead on this day also in 2019, Rip Taylor, American actor and comedian. He was the host of that god-awful 98-cent beauty pageant show. Remember that show? Oh, God. Rip Taylor. Well, what? Hey, good for you, man. No hate, but I was not a fan. I didn't get your whole act. Now, here's the big one. Here's the big one that we need to talk about because this is not good. This was sad. This was another sad one. It was on this day in 2020 that the world lost Dutch-American guitarist, songwriter, and producer. Greatest guitar player of all time? The argument has been made. Most influential guitar player of the past 40 years? Without a doubt. Without a doubt. You know, we can go back and forth over whether or not Jimi Hendrix could do this, or Eddie Van Halen could do that, or Clapton, or Page, or any of the other people that are mentioned. But for my money, there has been no greater influence on guitars in the past 40 years than this guy, Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen died on this day in 2020. He had been suffering from cancer. He was a monster of modern rock. He was a monster for Gen X. If you were of my gen, this guy. And can I tell you something that I absolutely love? This song that we're listening to right here, Eruption, one of his more famous guitar solos. This is like my 13-year-old son's favorite song. This is like he listens to this over and over and over. And it's just such a cool, I don't know. As a dad, it's just like a cool thing because you want your kids to like cool things that have stood the test of time. And he's definitely into Eddie Van Halen's guitar playing. So, yeah, all right, now let's go. I love Eruption into You Really Got Me. That is just too awesome. All right. There you go. All right. Eddie Van Halen died on this day. Jeff Glenn says Junior Brown is a better guitarist than Eddie Van Halen. Prove me wrong. Junior Brown is great, man. Junior Brown can really play. That chicken picking style is really great. But I don't know. You want to do a Devil Went Down to Georgia thing? I'd like to see that. I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Junior Brown versus Eddie Van Halen. And you're also right in saying Junior Brown. And I know what you're doing. You're trying to show how deep you go with your knowledge of this. Junior Brown is not a very famous guy, but he certainly is a player. Chicken picker of the highest order. Let's see here. Let's get into the things that are trending today as we give ourselves a little bit of distance away from mourning the death of Eddie Van Halen and Ralphie May. Don't want to forget about Ralphie. Thailand is trending. I don't know, you guys hear about this? There was some crazy, crazy shit that went down in Thailand over the last few hours. What is the number? The death toll keeps going up. 36, 35, 37, doesn't matter. It's tragic. It's disgusting. It happened in Thailand. So a disgraced former police officer in northeastern Thailand killed at least 36 people, most of them children, in a shooting and slashing rampage Thursday that started at a daycare center and ended at his own home where he killed his family and himself. National Police Chief General, oh my God, really? I got to do a Thailand name. Why are these names so complicated? Why? National Police Chief General General Dumrong Saklamo. That's the first name. Kitty Parappa Parapapis. Okay, that's the dude's name. How do you even fit that on a business card? This guy said that the attacks began at about 12:30 p.m. local time in Nong Bua. Oh God, I can't do these pronunciations. Province, about 330 miles northwest of Bangkok. Bangkok's easy. At least, yeah. Dude, now is not the time for you to be doing Murray Head's chess one night in Bangkok. Okay, this story is not appropriate for that. I know. See, sometimes schizophrenic me is right. Sometimes he pulls me back. Let's see here. At least 19 boys, 3 girls, and 2 adults were killed, all at the daycare center, before the suspected gunman, identified as a former police officer, drove off shooting randomly at people on the street. The suspect drove home and killed his wife and son before killing himself. At least 37. Okay, that's the story. That's the story. Now you know. Sorry for that, but it's the big thing that's trending as far as news. Secret Service is also trending. Okay. Can we lay off the Secret Service? Can we just, seriously. There was a time in this country when being a member of the Secret Service was one of the most revered and admired positions you could have. Oh, you mean you're willing to give your life for the king? It's like being Kingsguard in Game of Thrones or something like that. And now it's just like, how can we shit on the Secret Service? It's okay. Every little misstep that they have doesn't need to be But this story is funny. Secret Service says Vice President Harris's motorcade first reported mechanical failure when vehicle will actually hit a curb. So it was reported yesterday because the media is completely broken. For a period of time, it was being reported that Vice President Kamala Harris has been in a car accident. There has been a car accident, Vice President. And, they're making it sound like her vehicle made a turn too close to the curb. It hit the curb and bent the rim. Okay? That's it. That was the car accident. The driver of the vehicle that she was in kissed the curb like we all do, pulling out of, the gas station or whatever. We hit the curb, and apparently that caused something to go wrong with the wheel. Okay? Vice President Kamala Harris was involved in a car accident this week, the Secret Service said on Thursday, and the agency now says her vehicle struck a curb after initially reporting mechanical failure. Gotcha! You didn't say it hit a curb. You said there was mechanical failure. Well, if you hit a curb and you break the rim, that's a mechanical failure. The mechanism that allows the car to keep moving unencumbered has been compromised. So, if they put in their official report that there was a mechanical failure and it turns out that it broke the wheel because it hit they're not exactly lying. Stop it. Stop acting like everything is a gotcha. I mean, it's the Secret Service, for crying out loud. They protect everybody. They were out there protecting Pence when he was the vice president. Stop it. These people just do their job. They're agents of the deep state. Okay, whatever. Okay. Can't counter that. Can't even have that argument with, okay. All right. Funny enough, I went to high school with a girl who's now a member of the Secret Service. I saw her a couple of years ago. She didn't seem to be a member of the deep state. She actually still seemed to be the girl from the neighborhood who had a really cool job, who worked really hard, graduated from the University of Chicago, then went to the FBI, then went through training, was an FBI agent, then went to the Secret. I mean, this is not a crazy person who eats babies and deep state. These are just people, man. These are just people with cool jobs. That's all. During a protective movement Monday, a vehicle in a motorcade had a minor overcorrection and struck a curb, Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi said in a statement. The protectee, Vice President Harris, was transferred to a secondary vehicle and the motorcade continued to its destination. Yeah, believe it or not, they do have a game plan for if the car traveling that the vice president is traveling in has some kind of an issue. There is. Have you ever seen a presidential or vice presidential motorcade? Have you ever seen it? First of all, they go nowhere alone. They go, and if you think this is, they got an entourage. No, they've got at least the president. I can tell you the president has 60 vehicles in his little motorcade. Like, it's called a motorcade. There's like 60 vehicles, and they go by one at a time. And like 40 vehicles go by first before you see the beast, which is the car that carries the president. Like like military vehicles. There's a vehicle that travels with them that has like all of this equipment on it, and I don't know what it's doing, but it's doing something. And then there are transports. There are like vans, like unmarked vans that go by. And you know what these vans have? These vans are packed with commandos. There are dudes in the backs of those vans that if shit goes squirrely, boom, they're out. And now suddenly we got like Mogadishu in the streets of world. So when the vice president's car gets a flat tire, it's not a big deal. She was never in any danger. They moved her to another car. Oh, and there's decoy cars. There are like cars that look like they're the one that have the president, but it's not necessarily the one that the president's in, or the vice president for that matter. So this is a non-story, and this is another example of how we can't trust the Secret Service. Oh, stop it. Stop it. What do you care about the truth anyway? Most people in this country don't seem to have any interest in what the actual facts about anything is. They just want to believe what they want to believe. So you're telling me they lied. They said it was mechanical failure when the driver hit the curb. Okay, all right. So they're trying to maybe save the driver of the car, who's one of their coworkers, who's a dude they work with. Maybe he made a little mistake. He hit the curb. Maybe they're trying to save him some embarrassment, some kind of scrutiny, and they say it was a mechanical failure. Doesn't mean they're evil, and it doesn't mean so. What's the difference? What is the difference? What changes about this story when you learn that it kissed a curb instead of just had mechanical? What changes in your mind other than they lied? Okay, stop it. Just stop it. Russia is trending. Russia is trending because, by the way, this comes on the heels of a report. And granted, this was being reported by certain. What's this? Your person? Okay, fine. So apparently, the United States government has begun stockpiling anti-radiation pills. Which is not a feel good for a Thursday morning. Not exactly something. Really? The U.S. government has been stockpiling radiation pills because Putin is saber rattling. Putin saying, I'm going to launch nukes or whatever he's doing. So that's one thing. Putin's getting desperate. All of his oligarch money over the past 6 months has fled the country. They all got out. Remember the great oligarch exodus? They're like, yeah, we don't want to be around for this. We got our money in Western banks. We don't need to be a problem. We're going to get as far away from this. But now he's got problems with the generals, or at least high-ranking former generals who are openly criticizing the war. It's not going well for the Russians. Doesn't matter what they're saying on their local news, the local Moscow, Good Morning Moscow, or whatever the hell it is they have over there. It doesn't matter what they're saying; they're lying about it. We are seeing, because we have real footage, real actual free media, Western media footage of what's going on. Although, if you suddenly, for some reason, have decided that Russia is a great friend to the United States, you don't believe that stuff either. You don't believe all the pictures of the burned out Russian tanks, the thousands and thousands of captured Russian POWs, the Russian guys retreating, the videos of Russian recruits showing up drunk and dressed real shabby. And anyway, it's not going well. And what happened recently is an indication that Putin may not be as powerful as he thought he was, or as he certainly once was. Because now high-ranking former generals are saying this is a complete cluster, and they would never have felt comfortable speaking publicly. A growing list of failings and defeats in Ukraine have spawned angry outbursts from Russia's elite, who still support the military operation, but have gone as far as to suggest army chiefs of the Russian incursion should face the firing squad. So these retired generals are watching this thing. These are like the old guys who are like in Afghanistan and stuff. So they're still generals and they're still elites, but now they're saying this isn't going. They're at least admitting that it's not going well, and saying that the generals who are currently in charge of this war need to be executed. Not good. Not good when your own people are saying we need to execute all of our generals. Before September saw a series of battlefield reversals, public criticism of the army in Russia was rare. The offensive had been presented as a sacred patriotic mission, and speaking ill of the armed forces could lead to a long stay in prison. That sounds like bullshit, right? Like, you can't speak ill of the armed forces. How dare you? We are going to war against the Ukraine. You, Russian citizen, how dare you speak ill against our guys? That sounds terrible, right? Yeah. Doesn't that kind of sound like hey, Dixie Chicks, don't criticize the government when you're overseas. See, we engage in all of these convenient hypocrisies, especially when it comes to a politically charged situation like a war that, we don't seem to have any care. We don't give a shit. This sounds terrible. We did the same thing. Remember, you can't criticize the president during wartime. I remember when that was something that otherwise intelligent people spoke. And I was like, what? You can't criticize the president during wartime? Shut up. Oh, go away. You have no idea what a democracy is. You have no idea. We're allowed to say we don't support this war or that we think this president is. Anyway, they're doing that now in Russia, and it's not going well. The offensive had been presented as a sacred patriotic mission, and speaking ill of the armed forces could lead to a long stay in prison. Today, nobody among the elite is calling into question the merits of Moscow's viewpoint or the operation against a neighboring nation. So the elites, they're not saying that the war is wrong. They're just saying that all the generals need to be killed because it's not going well. That's the revelation that didn't exist before. Because nobody in Russia was going, this war is wrong. They were all supporting it, especially in media. But now they're saying this war is wrong, but they're admitting it ain't going well for us, and we need to kill all of our generals. The military setbacks and problems over the mobilization of hundreds of thousands of reservists have led unusually quiet public figures to attack the military hierarchy. On Wednesday, the head of the lower house of Parliament's defense community said that the army should stop lying as daily briefings praise enormous losses supposedly suffered by Ukrainian forces without mention of Russian troop retreats or reversals. The people know, he says, our people are not stupid, warned former General Andrei Kartopolov. And they see that we do not want to tell them even part of the truth. That can lead to a loss of credibility, he told the online show. Of star presenter Vladimir, whatever, I can't these names. Let's see here. So the host of the show, who is under EU sanctions, said certain members of the army's top ranks deserve to face a firing squad. The guilty should be punished. We don't have capital punishment, unfortunately, but for some of them, it would be the only solution. They don't even have an officer's sense of honor because they are unwilling to shoot themselves. Okay, so that's what's happening in Russia. It's chaos over there, and I'm telling you, we laugh about it, or I laugh about it, but it's nothing to laugh about because that country goes into chaos right now, the way things are going. Man, what is Putin going to do? Is Putin going to just step down? What is Putin looking at? The end of his regime. If he's looking at the end of his regime, what is he looking at? Is he looking at exile and one of his, multi-billion-dollar plots of land that he owns, whatever? He's super rich. He's like probably the richest man in the world. Or do they cut his head off? You know what I mean? Do they storm? Does it get to the point where the people storm where he is and drag him out and tear him into a million people? That's what he's got to be looking at. So a guy like him who had this supreme power, who had this, he's watching it all possibly go away. Does he think he's going to die anyway? So what the hell? Let's just light this candle? I don't know. But that is what's going on. And again, that's why the companion story on the American government is stockpiling anti-radiation pills. Seriously, when the Cold War ended, I thought we were done with this stuff. At least as, the idea that intercontinental ballistic missiles would fall out of the sky from halfway around the globe, destroying Cleveland, right? I thought that was at least off the table for the time being. Maybe it's not. Who knows? Life in prison. What is this one? Let me see why is this trending? I don't remember the story. I put the story up. Oh, Okay, this comes to us. This is a local story. This comes to us. This is out of Plano. That's right. Now I remember why I put this story up. Life in prison for Plano man who shot a stranger for looking at his girlfriend. Oh my God. This story. I don't like this story. Let me tell you something. Okay. So this occurred at the shops at Legacy Village. Legacy in the tollway, North Toll, just before 121. So between the George Bush and 121 on the tollway. I used to live there. I used to live in this area. This was one of my favorite places that I ever lived. Oh, geez, there's the dog. That's what the DA called the crime of Jordan Jacobs. It was July of 2021 that prosecutors say Stephen Gambles was at the shops of Legacy when the 25-year-old Jacobs, a complete stranger, passed him outside the mini mart. That was my mini mart. I used to go to that mini mart every day. That was my mini mart. I would stop there for a cup of coffee and a Red Bull, a diet Red Bull, sugar-free Red Bull. Every day before work, I would stop there. It was right there. It was right outside my house. Take the dog for a walk, tie her up to the pole, get a Red Bull and a coffee, then go to work. That was my morning ritual. And, the other thing that needs to be said, this kind of thing doesn't happen there. This is like a really high-end shopping area with fancy, there's a Bob's Steakhouse, and this is a fancy area with expensive stores. And when I lived there, I always resented all of these stores that were, right, you are steps from shopping. It's like, yeah, but I don't want a Fendi bag, right? I mean, you know what I want? Maybe put a CVS. Can I get a CVS? Well, there is a CVS there now. But, can I get something that's actually practical? Can I get a 7-Eleven? Yeah. No, but we have a Coach store. No, but we have a Tiffany's. You see, these are not things. Anyway, I'm telling you, it's a very nice little shopping area. And you would think no crime, This isn't like there aren't kids hanging out in front of, is Jasper's still there? I used to love Jasper's. There aren't kids, a bunch of thugs, a bunch of toughs hanging out in front of Jasper's as you finish your expensive meal, right? No, that's not something that happens here. So for this story shocked me. Here's how it went down. It was July of 2021. The prosecutors say Stephen Gambles was at the shops of Legacy Village when the 25-year-old Jacobs, a complete stranger, passed him outside the mini mart. Jacobs told his girlfriend that Gambles had been looking at her. All right, so Jacobs and his girlfriend are there at the mini mart, and this guy Gambles walks by. Just walks by down the street, disappears. The boyfriend goes, that guy was looking at you. That whole thing. So then, get what he did. And by the way, the dude who was supposedly looking at the girlfriend, he just disappeared somewhere into the shops at Legacy. Jacobs told his girlfriend that Gambles had been looking at her, and so he was going to rob him as a way to get back. Investigators say that Jacobs then waited for hours, found Gambles' car, stole a gun from inside Gambles' car, and then waited until he came back. When Gambles returned after dinner with friends, Jacobs confronted him, and when Gambles would not cooperate, he shot him in the temple. A jury found Jacobs guilty of capital murder. Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis says an innocent man was out enjoying dinner with a friend when his life was taken by a violent stranger. The jury's verdict triggered an automatic punishment of life without the possibility of parole for this senseless, terrible crime. And, if the crime went down the way it's being described, and certainly we do know the end result is that this Mr. Gamble is no longer with us, throw this guy in a human veal box and just, you can even bury it in the backyard. Give him a little air hole and a slot that we can throw down some Alpo a couple times a day, right? That's it. He can live in a box underground being fed Alpo. That's cruel and unusual. Although I'm not religious, I am very eye for an eye at times. And although I do not believe that we should take his life, I think that it is incumbent upon us as a civilized society to make the remainder of his life as uncomfortable as possible, as devoid of any creature comforts as we can possibly come up with. I mean, come on. He's looking at my girlfriend. So he waited for hours, decided that because he thought he looked at his girlfriend. Oh my God. Seriously, this is the world we live in. This is, All right, life in prison for that guy. That's trending. Cuomo. Chris Cuomo is trending. He's got a new show. Okay, so Chris Cuomo, whatever. I don't know what you think about it. I used to watch his show occasionally on CNN. I originally referred to Chris Cuomo as the handsome dumb guy because that's what I thought. He was just like, oh, look at him. He's handsome. Oh, he's wearing a too tight shirt again, trying to let all the housewives out there know that he works out. I thought he was a little bit too much. Then over time, I started to kind of be like, maybe I don't hate him as much. And then he went in another direction where he started to just be completely. Anyway, I don't have a really set in stone opinion of Chris Cuomo. I don't hate him. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So he gets kicked off CNN. I do think I have, some familiarity having read all of the stuff about how he was fired. I do think that it's kind of bullshit that he was, because like during the pandemic, when New York was going through all of these things, Andrew Cuomo, the governor, who's also lost his job, Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, was hailed as, this great leader to the pandemic. And CNN would put Andrew Cuomo on every single night with his brother, Chris Cuomo, who hosted the shows like the Cuomo Brothers. And it did great for him. They loved it. The ratings were fantastic. You had the two Cuomo brothers busting balls with each other. It was very interesting. So then that goes away. And then some other stuff happens. And Chris Cuomo starts helping his brother because his brother got into trouble. Remember Andrew Cuomo is like he grabbed somebody's ass or something. I don't know. He did something. So he had to step down. And it was revealed that Andrew Cuomo actually talked to his brother Chris about this privately. To which CNN then went, that's a bridge too far. And it's like, well, it wasn't a bridge too far when you were using their relationship for your own ratings. But since now suddenly that seems like you're being selective. If a brother, and they're obviously close brothers, right? So if one brother is going through something, you would expect, regardless of the job of the other brother, to put everything aside and just blood first brothers. And they're Italians. Italians are like way about family. So, I mean, it just seemed like they were trying to get rid of. They were trying to get rid of him for, whatever reason. He was sideways with the dude at the time who was in charge of CNN, Jeff Zucker. And anyway, they looked for a reason to get rid of him. So Cuomo was trending because he's got a new show. He's back. And he's back on one of these new pretend news networks, right? I don't know. They're all popping up, and they're all... I don't even know what he's on. News Nation. I don't know what News Nation is, right? Is that like Newsmax? Is that like OAN? I don't know what News Nation is. I don't know how to watch News Nation. I don't know where it is. So anyway, he's being lampooned. He's being picked on. Because his first show debuted to terrible, terrible numbers. And when I say terrible here, I mean not as terrible as this show. I mean, look, it's still like 1,000 times better than this show, but I'm no Chris Cuomo. More people watched SpongeBob. Chris Cuomo's debut show comes in last in the ratings by a massive margin. Chris Cuomo managed to pull in only 147,000 viewers and garner just about 8,000 from the 25 to 54 demographic group. So that's what he wants. He needs people watching between the ages of 25 and 54. And he only got 8,000 of those. Now, to put that into, I'll show you what other people got. Chris Cuomo's new show on News Nation debuted this week, but in a disappointing start. Pop-ups. Flonase. I don't need Flonase. But in a disappointing start, the disgraced anchor came in last by a massive margin. Cuomo 52 managed to pull in only 147,000 viewers and garner just 8,000 from the 25 to 54 demographic group during the 8 p.m. slot. On the other hand, shows of Tucker Carlson, Chris Hayes, and Anderson Cooper garnered hundreds of thousands and millions more. He had a good guest lineup. John Bolton, Dan Rather, Bill Maher appeared in Cuomo's first show where he talked about immigration as an issue emphasized in the U.S. to sow division between the right and the left even deeper. He opened up about how he learned lessons and was humbled by what happened at CNN. He said he wished to do better than before and promised to do more to not just play or even referee the game. I don't know what that means. Okay, I don't care. Anyway, he's being mocked because nobody's watching. But in his defense, and this isn't even in his defense. This is just, let's be fair. Who the hell knows what News Nation is? I mean, 8,000 people know. I think that's good because I don't even know what it is. I have no idea. Don't know where to get it. Don't know how to get it. Don't know how to watch it. Is there an app? What? I mean, I don't want to know. Actually, I do want to know because why not? Why not? Let me see. You know how much I'm always looking for a new source of information, but I gotta be honest. I don't want to. Adding Chris Cuomo to this lineup doesn't make me think, oh, okay, this is going to be different. Seems like they're just recycling a name from a more established news brand and capitalizing on that. I don't know. Look, as James Parker says, just get all your news from memes. Just do that. Just all your news, just get it all from memes. What else do we have? Herschel Walker. Okay, so we got more on the Herschel Walker story. This is this guy. First of all, oh my God. So the day before, by the way, I tracked this on Real Clear Politics. I'm obsessed with this race. I am obsessed with this race in Georgia for the Senate. It has been close. It's been close. And I can't look, whatever. The other guy, the Dem, isn't he? He's like a reverend or something. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. I don't know anything. That guy's fine. I am focused on Herschel Walker and the idea that people with money and support and influence have bankrolled this candidate that is just crumbling. I mean, based on everything that we have known long before Herschel Walker was, certainly involved in politics in any way, he was a very high profile guy. And we all had Herschel Walker hot takes. Unbelievable running back. Unbelievably talented player in college, unbelievable running back, really dumb guy. Like that was always the thing, that Herschel Walker is like basically half retarded. He's got all kinds of problems. I think for a while it was because he was dyslexic, and that's why he couldn't read until he was like 18. Anyway, it's just he's never been like a serious, like someone that you would think we should make him a senator. And, it's just, anyway, he's got so much in his closet. And, according to the latest 12 points, he is down. He fell 12. He is 12 points down to the other guy. And that was on the day that the abortion story hit. Okay, so he was already losing. He had been tied. He had been up by 1-2 points at one point in this cycle, and then over the past couple of months, it has just gone down 12 points the day before the abortion story was released. So they're going, it's just gonna crater. He's gonna be down 20 points when the next one comes up. Maybe, we don't know, but at any rate, he's trending for a couple of reasons. The recent poll on Real Clear Politics that show that he is dropping. But also because, this abortion story, he's been saying for the last couple of days that he has no clue who this woman is and that she's just an operative of the left, and he's going on Hannity and he's going on all these TV shows. And so the woman who is accusing him has decided that, you know what? Okay. He's allowed to say that he doesn't know me. He's allowed to go on TV and say that I'm just some creation of the liberal left and all that kind of stuff. He can say that, but he's allowed to say it because I've remained anonymous. So now the woman who Herschel Walker doesn't know, has no idea who she could be, that woman has come forward. And guess what? She's the mother of one of his children. That's right. Not only did they have an abortion together, but he doesn't know. So Herschel, this anonymous woman, says that you paid for an abortion. You gave her a card. She's got a check from you. I don't know who that woman is. This is obviously the liberal left and their dirty politics trying to take me down. I'm a family man. I love my family. Doing all that stuff, going on Hannity and all that stuff. So now the woman is like, wait, what do you mean you don't know who I am? You've been paying me child support for 19 years. What the hell are you talking about? We were almost married. What do you mean you don't know? How many abortions have you paid for that you don't remember that you did pay for an abortion for a woman who has been in your life for 19 years because you share a child? I mean, it's just getting worse and worse. I don't know who this woman can be. hi, yeah, we were like engaged and we have a child. We have a grown child together. You've been paying child support for that child for 19. What do you mean you don't know who I am? So, I mean, it's just getting more and more ridiculous. But it doesn't matter because people look at that and go, that's not true. What's true is what I want to believe, and I don't want to believe that. I want to believe that Herschel Walker graduated first in his class and was valedictorian of his high school. I want to believe that Herschel Walker was in the top 5% of his graduating class at the University of Georgia. He didn't graduate from the University of Georgia. I choose not to believe that. I believe that he was in the top 5%. So, the people who are going to vote for him are going to vote for him. What this does is this hurts the people who are on decent conservatives, decent, maybe Christian. They may be pro-life, and these are the things that are important to them. But if they have just an ounce of any sort of reality, they'll be like, okay, so maybe this guy is a bit duplicitous, maybe. Anyway, we'll see. After a woman revealed, I don't care. Run anybody else. Get another Republican in there, and I'll look at them. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But this guy, come on, you people are silly. It's silly. After a woman revealed that Republican senatorial candidate Herschel Walker had urged her to have an abortion, Walker adamantly denied the story and claimed that he had no idea who this woman could be. But there's a good reason the woman finds that defense highly doubtful. She's the mother of one of his children. When the woman first sold the story, we agreed not to reveal certain details about her identity over her concerns for safety and privacy. But then Walker categorically denied the story and said he didn't know who was making this allegation. So on Wednesday morning, Fox News host Brian Kilmeade asked Walker whether he had figured out the woman's identity based on details in the original report. Walker said, "Not at all. And that's what I hope everyone can see. It's sort of like everyone is anonymous or everyone is leaking, and they want you to confess to something that you have no clue about." Well, I have no doubt that you have no clue, but come on, Herschel. Walker then spun the report as an attack from desperate Democrats eager to maintain control of the pivotal Senate seat. Instead of being deterred by his now public hypocrisy, he said he now feels energized. They see me as a big threat, and I know that, and I knew it when I got into this race, but they don't realize that I think they've come for the wrong one. They've re-energized me, Walker said. They re-energized me because I know how they really want to try and keep this seat. The anonymous woman said that defense sounds ridiculous. Sure, she says, I was stunned. But I guess it also doesn't shock me that maybe there are just so many of us that he truly doesn't remember, she said laughingly. But then again, if he really forgot about it, that says something about him too, doesn't it? It does. It does. The woman whose years-long relationship with Walker continued after the abortion told the Daily Beast that her chief concern with revealing her name was because she is the mother of one of Walker's own children. And she wanted to protect her family's privacy as best she could while also coming forward with the truth. Walker has publicly acknowledged that the child that she has as his own is his own, and that the woman proved that she is, in fact, the child's mother. Walker's campaign declined to comment for the story. Oh, yeah, they got nothing to say yet. They will. They're in a room and they're figuring something out, and they're going to throw out some nonsense, and normal people are going to go, oh, just stop it. Just, you know what? Your best move is to just not mention this at all. Pretend it never happened. After Walker denied the report, one of his three sons, conservative social media influencer and MAGA personality, Christian Walker. So this is his son. His far-right Trump MAGA son. His son is broken bad on him. We saw that video. His son released a series of angry statements and videos condemning his dad as a liar and alleging that the University of Georgia football hero had threatened to murder him and his stepmother, and his mother, Walker's ex-wife. I know my mom and I would really appreciate it if my father, Herschel Walker, stopped lying and making a mockery of us, Christian Walker tweeted after the abortion story broke Monday night. You're not a family man. When you left us to bang a bunch of women, threatened to kill us, and had us move over 6 times in 6 months running from your violence. See, that's the other thing that is not denied about Herschel Walker. He's mentally unstable. He is a violent guy. He has been involved in violent situations. The anonymous woman said that while she's been a good sport about the campaign after Walker's denial, she could not keep this information from the public. I've been very civil thus far. I keep my mouth shut. I don't cause any trouble. I stay in the background. But I'm also not going to get run over time and time again, she said. That's crazy. Walker and his campaign have put out seemingly conflicting messages to battle the story, denying it on one hand as a lie, while also appealing to themes of religious redemption and forgiveness on the other. So the two tracks that the Herschel Walker camp are putting out there is, as a lie, it's not true, and as a Christian, I think we can all learn to forgive. And so it's like, which is it? Which is it a lie? Who are you saying? Should we forgive the liar? Because you're saying it's a lie, but then you're also saying that we should forgive Herschel for it. Anyway, this is the most fun Senate campaign I have seen, I don't know, in a long time. I mean, this is a good one. This guy is just a clown. Whatever. Tinder date. Hey, any of you guys on Tinder? Yeah, no, Adam says no such thing as decent conservatives. Yeah, there are. There are just people who see the world differently than you, and they have more conservative values. They're decent people. I don't know that there's decent MAGA. That I might go with you on that, because that's a whole nother jump. I don't know that. But I would absolutely disagree with you when you say that there aren't decent conservative Republicans, because there are. Never mind. I hate politics, but I like people, so I don't like to put people in boxes. Tinder date. Here's a great one. You guys use Tinder? Not me. No, thank you. That's just from the get-go. That just sounded like trouble. And besides, I'm not built for Tinder. There ain't nobody swiping right or left. Ain't nobody. This is not getting any good swipes. Okay, this is. I bet you I'm very popular with gay men. So if there is like a gay Tinder, if I ever needed like my ego boosted, I could go there. Like gay men like I don't know, I guess I'm a bear. James called me a bear. So I could do well. But unfortunately, I'm not gay. So, whatever. It's another cruel twist of my life. Gay dudes love me. I'd be very popular as a gay, as like a gay boy toy. I could do that. But not. I live in this wealthy neighborhood. I want to be a boy toy to a rich old lady. I really do. I think I would totally. But again, look at this. This is not boy toy. I can't do that. All right. In what might be considered the worst of blind dates, a 21-year-old Colorado man is recovering from a Tinder date gone awry. Yeah, I'll say. The unnamed victim was found naked and bleeding in the parking lot of an apartment complex where his 22-year-old date, identified by police as Lauren Marie Dooley. And there's a picture of her too. Crazy Irish chick. crazy little nuts Irish girl. Oh, they are tough too. I've told you, right? There is like scary girl draft, like girls that you don't want to mess with, like the ones that like will do some crazy things. Irish girls are right there at the top. I would have to look at the draft order, but Irish girls, very dangerous, very dangerous. They typically come from households where there's some form of domestic abuse, where drunk dad is knocking around mom. The Irish seem to produce more brothers than sisters. So usually it's like they grow up with brothers, so they're always fighting. And then they drink, and like Irish girls drink whiskey, unlike other girls, like I'll have a beer. I'll have can I just get a Cape Cod? Can I just get a little vodka and cranberry? No, Irish girls are like shots, so it's part of the culture. Latino girls, man. You don't want to piss off a Latino girl. I love Latino women. You do not, but they are right up there with crazy Irish girls. Russian girls, especially if they're from Russia. Like if they come over here when they're like 5 and, now they're like 25 and, gorgeous and all that stuff, but still have sort of that Eastern European, I remember in the 3rd grade when I saw the tanks roll over my brother in the playground of my school, like they have those kinds of memories. Those scary. And black girls, you don't ever want to disrespect a black girl. You do not want to do that. So we'd have to have a draft. Maybe that's something for Pillow Talk, like a scary girls draft. Like what what group of girls are the scariest? Those are four off the top of my head. Those are the four that I always think of. Like, so you got your Irish girls, your Latino girls, your Russian girls, and your black girls. Woo! Forget about that. Asian girls, I don't want to just say Asian girls because that's, there's Asian, that could be anything. Like Japanese girls are different than Chinese girls. Korean girls are different than Filipino girls. Filipino girls are nuts. Filipino girls are nuts. Maybe that's just because... All right, we'll move on. Anyway, let's get back into this Tinder date. So the girl's name is Lauren Marie Dooley. She's an Irish girl, so obviously. She allegedly performed oral sex on him before binding his wrists and ankles with duct tape and cutting him with a sharp knife. Dooley, who has been charged with felony second-degree kidnapping, second-degree assault, and menacing, is alleged to have enticed her date to remove his clothes before performing fellatio on him, and then taping up his hands and feet, to which he consented. Smart play on her part, because you can get a Tinder date. Like, if you can just get some rando guy, especially she's cute too. She's cute. She's not like, she's cute. So, she gets, you want to come back to my place and I'll give you fellatio? He's like, yeah, all right. So then, he gets the fellatio. Everything's going great. She pleasures him. He's relaxed. And then she's like, oh, I really like you. Hey, you want to get kinky? And at that point, he's already been pleasured. So he's like, she could have just really injured me if she was crazy. Like, that's a trust thing. Like, I'm sorry, but it is. Oral sex for a guy it's a trust thing. There has to be a level of trust there. You know what I mean? Because it could go way wrong if, Anyway, so she's already done that to him. So he trusts her, right? It's like, okay, trust. And she's like, I want to tie you up. So he's like, Tinder date, just met her. But she just took care of me. So yeah, let's do it. Let's get crazy. You seem like fun. All right, big mistake on his part. You never let anybody tie you up who you've just met. There are people I've known for 20 years I wouldn't let tie me up. It's not a smart play. And besides, you would think he would be thinking more clearly because he's just finished. And most men, not thinking clearly at all, but then when they finish, they're like, all right, let's do some math. Because it's like, you're cleared. Your cobwebs are gone. You're relaxed. You're in a good place. He should have gone, yeah, tie me up. No, you know what? I got to go. I got to work in the morning. So I'm going to get... That's when he should have gotten out. He should have gotten what he got and then got... But no, he decided that he was going to hang out with this chick. She tied him up. Then she jumped on him and she stabbed him in the shoulder, right? I'm going to read the story to you because I can tell you, but you need the actual facts. Dooley, who had been charged with felony second-degree kidnapping, second-degree assault, and menacing, is alleged to have enticed her date to remove his clothes before performing fellatio on him. And then she taped up his hands and feet, to which he consented. The victim found it odd, but consented to it. Yeah, because he just trusted her in the way, in the most... never mind. But there was a trust established there, is all I'm saying. She then apparently took out a knife while he was tied up and threatened him. This, according to the affidavit. She demanded he get into her bed with his hands tied, which he says was non-consensual, given the introduction of the weapon. All right, so her binding his hands was consensual because she had just pleasured him and everything seemed fine. Then she got a knife and she said, get in bed, to which he describes as non-consensual because the introduction of the knife. Okay. Just so we're following along where this starts to go squirrely. He says that was non-consensual given the introduction of the weapon. However, when Lauren produced a kitchen knife and demanded he get into her bedroom, the victim no longer consented to staying at the residence. Dooley, that's the crazy girl, who will be arraigned on Thursday, is said to have then climbed on top of her victim and proceeded to use the knife to stab him in his left shoulder. Lauren then used both her hands to apply direct pressure to the victim's throat for approximately 20 seconds, making it difficult for him to breathe. Lauren stopped, but only to procure a belt that she had then placed around his neck so that she could tighten it more easily. She stabs him. Now she's choking him. I mean, he's like, get me out of here. I am going to file a report with Tinder. You, lady, are going to have your account blocked. Lauren stopped, but only to procure a belt. Then she placed around his neck. She tightened the belt for another 20 seconds, once more making it difficult for him to breathe. When she took off the belt, she checked the victim's neck for a pulse, the affidavit says. Seemingly displeased by the man bleeding on her bed, Dooley then allegedly forced her date out of the bed and into the bathtub to clean him up. Police said they later found blood in the tub. In the midst of all this, she then ordered food from DoorDash and threatened her date. If you scream when the delivery man is here or say anything, I'll kill you. This according to police reports. Dooley, so she ordered him food? Did you get him a little something? A little DoorDash? What'd you get? Nothing for him? Come on. What kind of a host are you, Miss Dooley? Dooley then ordered her date back to her bed and ate the food in front of him. Just of all the cruelties. She then fell asleep. So how does this happen? So Tinder, come on over. Let's have some sex. Tinder guy. Hi, I'm here for the sex. Come on in. He comes in. She gives him oral. And then he's like, man, this is like the quickest and most easy Tinder date I've ever had. And then she's like, you want to get kinky? And he does. He's like, okay, why not? Let's get kinky. And she ties him up. And then all the wheels come off. But then the ordering of the food. She orders food. She eats it in front of him. She has stabbed him. She has choked him. She has orally pleasured him. She has eaten her Grubhub. And now, while sitting on the bed where he is laying tied up, she just goes to sleep. Lauren Dooley is a character. Lauren Dooley is just... Once Dooley was asleep, the victim told police that he was able to finagle the knife to cut the duct tape and quietly leave the bed. As he tried to find his keys, Dooley reportedly woke up and chased him into the parking lot. He's naked now. Whoop, 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 whoop. And she's like, chasing him with the knife. Where witnesses say she threatened him to kill him. And hold on, let me read this. Sorry. Once Dooley was asleep, the victim told police that he was able to finagle the knife to cut the duct tape and quietly leave the bed. As he tried to find his keys, Dooley reportedly woke up and chased him into the parking lot, where witnesses say she threatened him after smearing his blood on her hands and face. So she's now like covered in his blood, chasing him through the parking lot. Man, apartment living. Especially like shady apartment, like skeezy apartment. This is the kind of stuff that goes down. This is probably not the first time they've seen a blood-covered woman chasing a naked man through the parking lot with a knife. Just saying. Once Dooley was asleep, we got there. Police and an ambulance were dispatched. No, here we go. Dooley reportedly woke up, chased him into the parking lot, where witnesses say she threatened him after smearing his blood on her hands and called on face and called 911. He could be heard arguing with Dooley as he called out for help in the parking lot, explaining to her that he called the emergency services because you cut me, he was heard to say, and because you're trying to kill me, he also yelled. So these are people on their balconies just watching this go down. Police and an ambulance were dispatched. Upon our arrival, residents at the apartment advised there was a naked male in the parking lot that needed help. The affidavit states other officers located the victim, who was naked and appears to have been bleeding from a laceration to his left shoulder. That's where she stabbed him. The victim, who was naked and appeared to be bleeding, blah, blah, blah. He was also actively backing away from the suspect, Dooley, when police arrived. So she was like stalking him in the parking lot when the cops showed up. Dooley, who appeared to have blood smeared on her arms and face and hands, the victim exclaimed that Lauren tied him up and tried to cut him, the victim's life. All right, I love this. This is what the police say. The victim's life was never in danger from the cut to his shoulder, from the stab wound to the shoulder, police say. Dooley faces up to 25 years in prison if found guilty of the multiple offenses. The victim's life was never in danger, the police say. What? well, maybe not due to the injury, the stab wound to the shoulder, but she was choking him. He was tied up. She was threatening to kill him. And then she passed out. What was she going to do when she woke up? Right? Like, this is like a Dahmer situation. If you watch and I only got to like the first or second episode of the Dahmer thing, but when the 14-year-old kid escapes Dahmer's clutch and he runs to the police and the police deliver him right back to Dahmer. That's like what this is. Well, except the police didn't do it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, what would she have done if he had remained tied up in her bed after she woke up after her DoorDash binge? I'm telling you, man. Tinder, these kinds of hookup things, crazy. You got to go to a bar, man. You got to go. This is how you got to do it. You got to meet people in a social situation where you spend at least a few minutes around getting the lay of the land. You can't just show up to some psycho's apartment and then she immediately, takes care of you. So you're not asking any questions now, right? Because we've hit the ground running. But if you had met that girl in a bar, I guarantee you after talking to her for about 10 minutes, you'd be like, okay, all right, I got to get out of here. This lady is going to cut me and tie me up and try and eat me. What else is trending here? Tinder date. Oh, dabs and vapes. Dabs and vapes are trending. Let me tell you something. I hate these stories. These stories are so stupid. Researchers warn of mental health risks of high-potency cannabis. How about the mental health risks of just being a normal adult in this modern world? You want to talk about constant mental health risks. Researchers, Bertriz Carlini clicks through a few local cannabis retailer websites before finding what she's looking for. Her screen displays a yellow goo, similar in appearance to raw honey, or as the product's marketing calls it, and this is why we're doing this story, cake batter. Cake batter brand vapes. This is only if you live in a place where it's legal. If you live in a place where there is legal weed, I am familiar with cake batter blend. What's the actual brand of it? That I don't know. What am I looking for? I got it right here. Cake batter is very good. Now, here's what they're trying to say. This is an alarmist kind of thing, trying to scare people, whatever. So weed is classified in, two categories for me. All right. I'm sure there's other categories, but for me, there's two categories. There are flowers and then there are dabs or vapes. And I guess it depends on where you are. We call them vapes where we're from, but dab is another kind of name for it. And the difference is that flower, when you buy marijuana at a dispensary at a legal store, you either buy flower or you buy edibles. I guess edibles is the other category. Edibles, vapes, flowers, topicals. There's another. Look, any way that the human body can ingest this stuff, they've created a way. But let's talk about the difference between the vapes and the flower. So flower is traditional. It's weed. You grind it up, you put it in a joint and you smoke it and it smells. And, 3 blocks away, they're like, somebody's smoking weed in this zip code. It's like you can do that. Vapes are a different thing. Vapes don't smell. Vapes, I've often thought, because I got a kid who's about to be a teenager, and I'm like, man, we will never catch my kid smoking weed the way other kids throughout the generations have been caught. How do kids get caught? Kids always get caught because of the smell, right? Even if it's not the actual smell of the burning flower weed, it's all over your clothes. You walk in, hi mom, I'm home. And she's okay, go to bed. They know you can't hide it. And only stoners are the ones who don't know that they reek of weed. Have you ever been somewhere? Have you ever been somewhere with a group of friends and a buddy shows up and he's just standing there and all of a sudden the little circle that you're talking just reeks of weed and this dude's like, what, man? It ain't me. It's like, dude, everybody knows what you were doing. We can smell it on you. What is wrong with you? You're not fooling anybody. And yet they are, man, why'd that cop stop me? Because you reeked of weed when you passed him on the street. That's why, because you smell. Vapes don't do that. Vapes, man. You walk down the street, you smoke, and besides, other people vape. You vape, you use the same thing to smoke just normal vaporized. I guess not Juul anymore, but people who vape regular vape stuff. You just walking around. So what's the difference between you walking around with your canister? Your canister is a weed canister. There's CBD in there. They don't know that. How's anybody gonna know that? And it doesn't smell. Yeah. Anyway, what they're trying to say here is that vapes, condensed marijuana, which is in the oil form that comes in a little like vape canister that you screw into your pen. They're trying to say that they're dangerous because they're concentrated. No, here's the truth. They're not dangerous because marijuana isn't dangerous, okay? You just look at if you think marijuana is still dangerous in 2022, ask yourself, why does every strip mall in every neighborhood now have a CBD store? Why is that something that is now everywhere? Why is your grandma smearing weed cream on her arms at night? Because it makes her feel. So stop it. It's not dangerous. Look, anything that impairs you has a potential for some sort of dangerous outcome. But that's a choice that you make, right? I mean, if you get really high on weed, you're probably not going to want to go drag racing. If you're really high on weed, you just want to sit on the couch and talk to the person next to you. That's pretty much what being incredibly blazed does. So this alarmist kind of thing, it's a higher potency. Yeah, well, it is. It's a cleaner smoke. It is a cleaner high because they've gotten rid of all of the carbons and the bad things and the garbage that you ingest when you smoke just regular flower weed, and they've condensed it into an oil that is like a modern way. It's better for the lungs, although, we're seeing issues with, people who vape and I don't vape, but, people who do vape, they're getting that popcorn lung thing. And so now that's going to be old. Anyway, the point is, this is alarmist, and this story is being put out there now. I don't know why, probably funded by the Kentucky Bourbon Commission or Anheuser-Busch or any of the other people who want to get any negative story about the emerging legal cannabis scene out there. Because they see it as competition, when in reality, they should be buying up all of these farms, and you should have Anheuser-Busch weed and you should have Jack Daniels weed. But in the early goings, they're seeing it as, competition. So they're putting all this nonsense out there. The substance, cake batter, is a highly concentrated form of cannabis called a dab, which is produced by extracting the psychoactive compound THC from cannabis plants. It's usually vaporized and inhaled using a device that looks similar to a bong. You mean a vape pen? A vape pen doesn't look like a bong. Stop it. All of these. A vape pen looks like a... Here's my vape pen. See? That's what it looks like. Does that look like a bong? Okay, it's not really a vape pen. It's a Sharpie. But you people who know what a vape pen is, you saw this for a moment and you went, "Oh, does he have a Sharpie vape pen?" Because that's what vape pen they look like. They look like this. And here's the can, right? Here's the canister. You squeeze, you put the canister on right here, squeeze it on, boom, and then you just hit a button and it heats it up, and right? That's how you do it. Such products, all right, but the product's THC concentration is relatively low in the vast and legal world of highly potent products, or DABs. Drugs and Alcohol Institute, University of Washington School of Medicine. While a typical cannabis flower averages around 20% THC, some DABs sold in Washington contain as much as 90%. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. You don't have to smoke as much. The 20% ditchweed, which they're saying, some flowers average around 20%. Right. It's because there's a whole lot of other garbage in there that you're inhaling. So you have to smoke 2 joints. With these dabs, you smoke 2 hits and you're there. Oh, but isn't that binging? No, because it's not the same thing. Stop acting like being high in the process that you go through upon getting high is similar to drinking. It's not like drinking. It's not the same thing. You do not get drunker and drunker and drunker. You get high, you reach a level of being high, and then you're wasting everything because you don't get higher. I don't know what they're trying to put out there. I don't know if they're trying to make it seem like sometimes people get so high that they think they can fly and then they kill people at the mall. No, what? I don't know what that's about. Weed. All right. But once again, I'd like to see who is behind this study here. I don't trust it. When cannabis was legalized for recreational use in Washington beginning in 2014, extracted cannabis, which includes concentrates, made up about 9% of the market. Concentrates now make up 35%. I'm telling you, concentrates are going to, if we were to jump forward like 10 years, let's pretend like weed is legal. Okay. Weed is now legal in America. I would say that the vape to flower is going to be 80%. I think that it'll, just because it's so, on occasion people will be like, oh, look at you, man. You're an OG. Look at you, old school, smoking that flower bud. That's fine. That'll still happen. But most people who smoke, especially new people who come to legalize cannabis, they're going to be vaping. They're going to be doing it as vape. It's just, from what it looks right now, it's better for you. It doesn't cause, you're not burning carbon and inhaling it into your lungs. It's just a vapor that you're absorbing into your whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so they're trying to demonize vapes now, even though everything that we know about them, they are better than the flower. Old dudes still. I doing that. You're not doing the vapes because you're intimidated by the apparatus, right? That's what it is. You're 60 years old. You've been smoking weed for like 50 of the 45, whatever. You've been smoking weed for a long time. You're now seeing this new generation who has taken your habit that you loved, you old stoner, you loved that you were good at it. And now you're seeing 18-year-old kids who know far more about it than you do. And you find that to be a bit intimidating. And you probably, considering your advanced age, probably be better off vaping instead of inhaling more of that toxic smoke into your lungs. But you won't do it because you're afraid of the pen. You don't know how to do it, and you don't want to look stupid. There's old dude still smoking. I'm telling you, and it's cheaper. It's cheaper. The vape oils are cheaper. Why are they cheaper? Because someone explained this to me. Because they're easier to transport. You can, like flour, you can't crush flour. Flour has to be packed a certain way. It has to be protected, so it takes up more space in the truck or in the backpack. Canisters, little vapes, you can transport 1,000 times more of those than you can flour. People don't want to buy flour that's been stepped on and pressed. They want these beautiful buds, and there's a price that comes with that. So that's why it's a little bit more expensive. Surreal Life is trending. Remember that show, The Surreal Life? It's back. It's trending. I don't even want to talk. It's Surreal Life. They got Dennis Rodman. They got Dennis Rodman and Frankie Muniz. For the first time in 15 years, The Surreal Life is back. I'm like, well, 15 years ago, you could have had Dennis Rodman and Frankie Muniz on. I don't know. And then it's a whole bunch of Instagram people. And I'm like, these celebrities are being forced. And again, it's one of these things where I'm like, that's not a celebrity. That's not a celebrity. That's a girl who does makeup on Instagram. She puts makeup on herself, and millions of people watch her apply her makeup. That's not a celebrity. Maybe it is. Le'Veon Bell is trending. Hey, Jeff Glenn, you might want to walk the dog because we're going to talk about Le'Veon Bell, and he's a football player. And I know how you can't be around any kind of... Le'Veon Bell is trending because ex-NFL running back Le'Veon Bell is set to make his pro boxing debut against former UFC fighter Uriah Hall as part of the Paul Silva pay-per-view event on Saturday, October 29th. Bell is coming off an exhibition knockout of former NFL running back Adrian Peterson. I hate this. So, Le'Veon Bell is going to fight Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall is a great fighter. He's a great MMA fighter. But we're seeing this over and over again because MMA fighters are not paid. Unless you're in the top 5% of MMA fighters, you're not a rich pro athlete, right? You see a guy riding the bench for the Dallas Mavericks is a rich pro athlete. He's making a lot of money. So when you're in the rank and file of professional fighting, you're basically fighting fight to fight. You're making, maybe 50 grand a fight or whatever, but you're not making 10 million a fight. Okay. So What's happening is they're putting on all of these exhibition matches, and we're seeing it with the Jake Pauls and, all these people, where they put them up against very well decorated MMA fighters. And why? Because MMA fighters are scary fighter guys. So if you want to fight somebody and you want to show people that you can fight, why not go against somebody who's an undeniably good fighter like Uriah Hall? But then these MMA guys, they take these payments for these fights that are like 10 times more than any fight they've ever been paid for in the UFC. So that's why they take it. That's why Uriah Hall takes this fight. That's why Ben Askren. That's why he took the fight against one of those Paul idiots. That's why Anderson Silva takes a fight, because it's a huge, massive payday for the curiosity of it. Now, but what's happening is it's bad for MMA, because never in these matchups are the MMA fighters allowed to use MMA skills. It's always boxing. It's always, it's just going to be a boxing match. And so Le'Veon Bell is going to box Uriah Hall. And people who don't really pay attention to this go, Le'Veon Bell, I heard that Uriah Hall's a professional fighter. So that professional fight, if Le'Veon Bell beats him, that's going to mean Le'Veon Bell's a badass. No, it doesn't. Because you're putting Uriah Hall in a boxing ring. He's not a boxer. It's like having a soccer player and going, okay, now guard Michael Jordan. It's like two totally different skill sets. Uriah Hall's probably going to get his ass kicked by Le'Veon Bell, and people are going to go, see, MMA fighters ain't that tough, to which I go, dude, he wasn't allowed to do MMA. If he was allowed to choke this guy out or put him in an armbar. But no, it's boxing. These guys don't, but he's an MMA guy. Shouldn't he know boxing? No, that's a completely different skill set. Nobody in MMA with their strikes fights in a boxing style. A boxing style in MMA would get you taken down to the ground within the first 10 seconds. The fight would be over, because if you're using a boxing style against an MMA fighter and the MMA fighter is allowed to use the MMA skills, all you can do as a boxer is stand in one place and go, You have no... So it upsets me. I'm seeing that. I understand why these MMA fighters are taking these fights. They're taking these fights for a paycheck. But it's hurting the reputation of the league. Ben Askren lost to one of the Paul brothers. Ben Askren is one of the most dominant wrestlers in MMA history. And they put him in a boxing ring where he wasn't allowed to use his wrestling. And there was a moment in that fight where Askren had Paul in trouble, and then he stopped. And that's when I went, all right. So it was agreed upon that Ben Askren was going to get beat here. I can't take it. I can't take it. I don't even like MMA anymore. I used to be one of the biggest MMA fans. I can't. It's just, ugh. Bernie Mac is trending today. Bernie Mac is trending today because it's not his birthday. Bernie Mac is trending today. Yesterday, we talked about Bernie yesterday. Yesterday was his birthday, but somehow, it's on a 24-hour delay on Twitter. So he's trending. So there you go. I said yesterday, that's what I wanted to mention this. I talked about yesterday about how I knew Bernie before he was famous, when he was just a clubbing comic in Chicago. He was very big in the South Side comedy scene. And I loved him. He was a great guy. But I got his death wrong. So I wanted to make sure that we were clear about Bernie Mac and how he died. So the first series of health problems occurred in the summer of 2004 when Bernie Mac was filming both Ocean's 12 and Guess Who, which was the remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, while also promoting Mr. 3000. He was set to film the remainder of season 4 of the Bernie Mac show in October of that year, but due to contracting pneumonia in both lungs and suffering from exhaustion, Fox halted production for 4 weeks so Mac could recover. He also had something called sarcoidosis, which I'm unfamiliar with, but it's a lung disease. In the final 4 years of his life, Mac publicly disclosed that he had suffered from sarcoidosis, a disease of unknown origin that causes inflammation in tissue Sarcoidosis frequently attacked his lungs. On October 1st, 2008, Mack was admitted to Northwestern Memorial Hospital in his hometown of Chicago. After a week of unsuccessful medical treatment, Mack went into cardiac arrest and subsequently died during the early morning hours on August 9th from complications of pneumonia at the age of 50. Wow. Mack's public funeral was held a week after his death at the House of Hope Church in Chicago with nearly 7,000 people in attendance. Notable mourners at Mack's funeral were Chris Rock, Chicago Mayor Richard Daley, Samuel L. Jackson, Ashton Kutcher, John Cheadle, the cast members from The Bernie Mac Show, his Kings of Comedy fellows, D.L. Hewley, Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Martin, and numerous other celebrities. So I said yesterday that he just dropped dead of a heart attack. And then I didn't feel right with that. I was like, I think it was more than that. And it was he just had, it was sort of an avalanche of things. Eventually it was cardiac arrest, but he was in the hospital for other things. Green Book. I don't know if you saw this. Green Book is trending. Do you know what the Green Book? Remember the Green Book was a movie? The Green Book, you know what the Green Book? The Green Book was the places that black businesses or black owners, black travelers and all that could safely stay when traveling throughout the South, right? Do I have that right? At least I think that's what it is. Anyway, it's trending. It's trending like high up on both Google and on Twitter. And because of one tweet, it said, I just learned something on Jeopardy about the 20th century history I never knew. Without looking it up, do you know what the Green Book is? Which, how does that trend? I have no idea what trends, how something trends. Because how does that trend? Doesn't everybody know what the Green Book is? We just had that movie, right? Viggo Mortensen and somebody, I don't know. Okay, that's going to do it. I think that's it. Look at us. We're out. Let's jump over. Let's see if there's anything that we missed, anything new that started trending since we signed on. Let's see if we can get to, let's check Twitter. Let's see what the Twitters are all about. Anything new? Al says, have you seen the Amazon Prime MMA fights? Pretty entertaining. No, I haven't. Look, I still watch the big UFC fights. I don't pay for them anymore. Like, I can't do that. I don't know. I find a lot of, especially the UFC fights, I find them to be very boring now. I feel like the sport, at least is how it's defined by the UFC. The sport is MMA. The league is UFC. People, UFC is the sport. I fight UFC. No, you don't. That's like saying, I play NFL. No, you don't. You play football. Football is the sport. MMA is the sport. The NFL is the top league of the sport, just like UFC is the top league of MMA. A lot of people still get that wrong. Anyway, there are the rules, and now we're like 25 years into MMA and UFC and UFC governing it. And it just seems to me that fighters have figured out ways to win according to the rules instead of the way it used to be, which was just two guys just going out trying to prove who's better. Now guys are trying to win on judges' scorecards, and they've figured out ways to do it. And I don't like it. I find it to be very boring. I find there to be far more decisions than it seems like there ever were. Every fight seems to go the distance now. Not every fight, of course, not every. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, ugh. And also, I'm a little bit grossed out by all of the over-the-top salesmanship of the fights that we're seeing now. MMA I was first attracted to it because a lot of the dudes seemed to come from a martial arts background where it was about discipline and it was about courtesy and it was about being very serious and honing your skills and knowing what you could do with your skills. But there was there was reverence for one another. The combatants would regularly bow to each other or embrace before and after. Now it's just wrestling. Now it's just like there's no class, there's no sophistication to it. It's just like, I hate that guy, and then I can't. There seemed there seems to be a lack of honor is kind of what I'm saying. There was honor. At one point, it was like an honorable pursuit. It was like something I'm going to try and get as good at this specific discipline as I can. And then I'm going to ply my trade after all of my hard work against somebody else who has done the exact same thing. There was an honor there. There was a respect. And now it's just a bunch of garbage talk and stupid fights. Anyway, there you go. All right, let's see what is trending. What do we have? There's anything good here. Oh, stop with the politics. It's National Coaches Day. It's also National Noodle Day. Okay. Ooh, National Noodle Day. I'm gonna go to Kroger and I'm gonna get some what is that? Rigatoni. Oh, I've discovered a new recipe. Never mind. You don't need to know. You don't care. Thailand is still trending. The terrible story that started everything out. I don't. There's nothing. Bisexuals. Let's jump on that. Okay, bisexuals is trending. Let's see what's going on in the world of bisexuals. Come on, bisexual and transes. We need to go for the four trick. Oh, I get it. Bisexuals is trending because lesbians was trending. Lesbians started it off. Remember yesterday was National Scissoring Day? And so lesbians started to trend. And then gays, because why just lesbians trending? Because it's National Scissoring Day. Well, let's get gays trending. So then gays trending, lesbians trending. Now bisexuals are trending. Whatever. The fun of the internets. Whatever. Trending for no reason. It's not like a reason for it to be trending. Just people having fun. What else do we have? Alaska Daily. I don't know what that is. Starring Hilary Swank. Tonight, what? On Hulu. I don't know what that is. I don't care. Green Book is still trending. Green Book. I just learned something on Jeopardy about the 20th century. Oh, boy. I never knew without looking it up. Do you know what the Green Book is? Boy, 20th century. Wait till he gets into like the 19th century. Wait till he learns about some of the stuff that went down then. Ooh, I-35. Why is I-35 trending? I-35 is trending. All right, I-35, the official TxDOT source for construction. Let's see. I don't know why I-35 is trending. I wish Texan construction workers were this efficient. It's been more than 4 years. All right, I don't know. I thought maybe there was a big accident or something happening on I-35. Something is happening. I don't know what it is, but I-35 is trending. Actually, what I think it is traffic. I think traffic is just backed up on I-35, and somehow it's gotten to the point where it's trending. All right. Yeah, they're nothing. There ain't nothing new trending. Al says Mikey Musamichi is a total geek MMA fighter in jiu-jitsu. They call him the genius grappler. Great guy. Pull him up on YouTube. All right. See, I love jiu-jitsu. My kid's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's my kid really loves jiu-jitsu to the point. I mean, he's loved it for forever, but he's now 13 years old and he's at the point where he's big. He's like he's physically big. He's a physically large kid. Biggest kid in his class, biggest kid on his football team. Not the biggest kid playing football. There's been other big kids, and they always put the biggest kid on him. He's like, bring it. He's not even afraid of it. He's playing guard, and he's very happy playing guard. His dad is happy for him. His dad doesn't really. I love watching him play. Just maybe wish he played a position that was a little more exciting, but he loves it. And look, that's all. Dude, you don't want to play defense anymore? You were so good. You were so good at defense. Nope. I just want to protect my quarterback. Like he's got that mindset where it's just all about the one-on-one and that's what he gets off on. So good for him. And he's very good. Dad brags. He's very good. He's showing a lot of promise. So whatever, we'll see. But he's also really into jiu-jitsu. And he's
he's irritatingly into jujitsu. Like he now cannot. If we're out in public and I run into a friend of mine, like a grown up friend, it's like, oh hey, how you been? Nice to see you. This is my son Mace. Mace, this is Mr. So and so. Oh, Mr. Nice to meet you. And then I'm having a nice little conversation with this grown man. It's like my kid's default setting is now to just grab my arm when I'm doing something else and just start applying different jujitsu holds to my, like, that's what he does. And it's like, stop it. All right. It's like he's constantly. So I would be interested in learning about the MMA fighter known as the Genius Grappler. Let's see. I'll tell you, the one thing that I do like about my kid is a nice kid. He's a big, nice kid. Like he's friendly. And he's sort of, say what you will about the Marvel movies being, I don't like the Marvel movies. They're all stupid. Well, for generations of kids, man, I'm telling you, for my kid, those Marvel movies have had an impact. Like my kid wants to be good. Like he wants to be a hero, like he identifies with Captain America and Spider-Man and all that. And so say what you will about those movies, but I have watched the impact that those movies have had on my young boy growing up. And I can tell you, he identifies with the light. He identifies with the good people. He identifies and he wants to do, and he has shown, he's a bully buster in school and all of that stuff. He gets in trouble. He's been in trouble in school, but it's like, like he knocked a kid out on the basketball court. He didn't knock him out. Never mind. He's a bully buster though. So it's good. I don't want to give the impression that, raising a little meathead monster. He's not a meathead monster at all. He's just a kid who's never going to get picked on. And I'm very pleased by his mother taking that approach to his, whatever. Adam, always shitting on everything. I also beat up bullies doesn't mean it's good. Fuck you, dude. Just stop it, okay? I'm trying to present the fact that just because he's big, he's not a bully. I'm just saying it. Come on, man. What the hell's wrong with you? Why does everything have to be fucking Adam? Stop it. Everything does not require your counterpoint. It doesn't. Although I do appreciate it much of the time. And I'm going to appreciate it now. Because look at me. I don't want to sign off. And we're already at 2:00. So Adam, you just gave me a little bit of juice. I thank you, my friend. But now we got to sign off. Because I got to go to Kroger because I want rigatoni. And I'm going to make my sauce. Oh, it's going to be so good. I'm very pleased. I can make it in the microwave too, which I really appreciate. Although the sauce, I have to use the big kitchen for that. Pillow Talk tonight. You want to come join us for Pillow Talk? Pillow Talk, 9:00, me and Parker. Why not? Can I once again Can I direct your attention to the mansplainingradio@gmail.com. First of all, thank you. I got on your ass a little bit yesterday because after the first day of me saying, anybody want to participate? It was like, bah! But now, some of you have, thank you. But we still want more. If you would like to participate in this weekend's Mansplaining show, which airs on Saturday and Sunday night on 97.1 The Freak here in Dallas, or you can listen on the iHeart app. Just, you got the iHeart app. Just go to 97.1 The Freak in Dallas on the iHeart app. It's probably on your smart TV. It's probably on your phone, whatever. Everybody's got the iHeart app. So you can just go to that and you can listen Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 11. It's myself and Dr. Schwartz. We're sort of reinventing what the whole love line thing was, but in the early goes, we can't be as fly by the seat of our pants as we hope the show to eventually become. So we want to invite you people to participate. Now, if you're familiar with the old show I used to do with my partner, Kelly, Pugs and Kelly, we used to do advice segments. It was a big part of our show. I've been doing advice segments on the radio since the early 1990s. So it's something that I always loved doing. I think it always... Not always, but occasionally you stumble over something and it becomes just a classic conversation. It's good content, really. That's what I like. My whole thing about talk radio and what I like to listen to in talk radio is I just like good chemistry. I like two people who are just, doesn't matter what they're talking about. I don't care. Look, I listened to a discussion on The Downbeat, which is the new afternoon show on 97.1 The Freak, between Mike Reiner, Mike Sharoy, and Groobs. Forgive me, who's the girl on that show? Isn't there a girl on that show? Anyway, I listened to a conversation on that show the other day where they basically just argued about cream soda and whether cream soda was good or not. And I just thought, yes! Thank you. This is the kind of content that I want to listen to. Interesting people who are witty and have funny takes on things, talking about absolutely absurd subjects. That, if you listen to Pillow Talk, that is the entire goal of what Parker and I do every night. Let's get into some absurd subjects and let's get really passionate about them. Like, even though there's no reason. So, that's what I like. And mansplaining is just hopefully it's going to evolve into that. It's going to evolve into the chemistry between myself and Dr. Schwartz. And we're taking it again. It's based on the premise of Loveline. So eventually we just want to be able to walk in and have phone calls. Boom, 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 boom. And we'll get there. I mean, that's once people understand what the show is and how to participate. But in the meantime, we'd love you to participate if you can. You want to be on the air. You want to participate in form of an email. Let me know what your dilemmas are. Have you had a fight? Are you sideways with somebody at work? Did a neighbor borrow something and not give it back? Is your kid being a little jerk? Whatever it is, send it to us in an email. Give us your dilemma. And then possibly if you want to appear on the air, we can make that work. You can come on as a caller and we can ask you questions and interact. Thank you to the people who have already participated and said that they would be willing to give up their issues. You can as well participate, and I'll contact you back. I'll send you an email and we'll exchange phone numbers and all that. And we'll make sure if you want to get on the air, you can get taken care of. Just send it to me at mansplainingradio@gmail.com. That's mansplainingradio@gmail.com. Because, even if we don't get to you this weekend, we got shows coming. Can we go on record? Can we go on record? Ross Rubio says cream soda is whack, in case anyone thought otherwise. All right. I don't know what whack means in this context. Is that good or bad? Because cream soda is awesome. Cream soda. Have you had Dr. Pepper cream soda, 0 sugar? Oh my God. Cream soda. There was a split on the downbeat over whether or not cream soda was good. I happen to come down on the side. The cream soda is delicious. Cream soda is just vanilla soda. That's all it is. It's soda that tastes like vanilla ice cream. What's wrong with that? And when you mix Dr. Pepper cream soda, that Dr. Pepper and cream soda mix thing, oh my God. You can go straight to hell, Ross Rubio. Yes, Ross, we can still be pals. I mean, you're wrong about your cream soda hot take, but we can still be pals. It's how I operate. Do you know how many wars I have been engaged in with people like Adam Reyna, Jeff Glenn, Leslie? We can still be friends, Ross. If I still love those guys, we can still be friends. Hell, if I still love Adam Reyna, you know that I have a long leash. Hobo Jackson says it's good about once a decade, cream soda. It's an interesting take. Once a decade. I think you're overstating it a bit, but I get what you mean. Cream soda is not an everyday drinker. It shouldn't replace water, or maybe if Diet Coke is your go-to, or Coke no sugar. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think that if I had access to cream soda every day, I'd probably be like, nah, I'm good. Too sweet, too rich. But also not once a decade. And also have to go, how about a nice cream soda once a month? Cream soda day. Let's establish cream soda day. Ross Rubio says cream soda is the pancake of soda. I see what you're saying. Except that with pancakes, my problem with pancakes is that pancakes always sound good in theory. And then you get a stack of them and you only eat one, because the bottom 3 on the stack are ice cold, like within 2 minutes. and then you're full, and then you're like, okay, so maybe I thought I wanted more pancakes. That's not the case with cream soda, though. Cream soda, I'll drink a whole bottle. I want more. I just don't know if I could drink it every day. I want a pancake now. See that? See what I did there? See how I said that? I want a pancake. See, I know my limits. Right now, I think a pancake might be kind of delicious right now. A single pancake. Don't give me a stack, because there's no way. That's not happening. Yeah, you know what? Hobo Jackson, yeah, I bet you cream soda would be a good mixer. I don't know what you'd mix in it. Yeah, rum would be good. Yeah. All right, gotta go, guys. See you tonight. Love y'all. Back tomorrow at noon. And tonight at 9. And tomorrow at noon.